Thank you. And I'm Stella Xingyu. A brief introduction about myself. I'm from the United States, Portland, Oregon. I'm a technical manager at Intertek. And so I have a background of textiles. I got my master's degree in textile engineering and my fiber and polymer science, PhD degree in fiber and polymer science. And today's topic is mainly based on it's part of my PhD research. So it's about print clarity on digital printed textiles. So let's get started. So as we all know, the printed textile market has mainly three parts: apparel, interior furnishing, and technical textiles. So for the printed textile, mainly have the most big part is apparel, like the fashion, because the fashion require like rapid change for the market, the trends. So let's compare about the inkjet printing and the conventional printing. So for the inkjet printing, it's really fast. It only takes a week and hours to finish. But for conventional printing, it has like more steps, like engraved design, color matching, and print strike off, and it's really wastes a lot of time. It takes up to 11 weeks to finish. So inkjet printing has digital textile printing has an advantage like short run printing, support mass customization, reduce substrate inventory, and the ability to respond to the market faster. And have a lower water and power consumption, so it's really good for the environment and reduce the production space requirement. So I want to repeat for the advantage. I believe we are on the same page that digital printing is the future of the printed market. So, however, besides of the cost, when it comes to digital printing, one of the most important factor the brands will consider is the quality, the print quality of the digital print textiles. So there's a complicated interaction between the substrate and the ink because there's like millions different kind of textile in the market. So so there's so many factors that would affect the color and the appearance on the printed textiles, like a fiber, whether it's polyester or yarn, polyester or cotton, the different fabric content, fabric type, and yarn, like it's a filament or spun yarn, it's the twist, the density, and also the fabric construction, the wave as a twirl or plain wave or something like that, and also the whole process, like the pre-treatment and the dye, and the ink amount, the setting of the print mode, control the ink amount, and also the post-treatment, the temperature and the time. So all these factors would impact on the clear color and appearance of the digital printed textiles. So I would just, yeah, I would just introduce a couple different factors so they impact the final print quality. The first is there's a two micrograph of digital inkjet printed dots. So on the left one is on cotton, on right is the polyester. So on the cotton you can see the dot is like more round and is more clear. The polyester is not that good print quality because the cotton it reduce the wicking since it has really good absorbency compared to the polyester. So also, the fabric construction also have a huge impact. So when it comes to the textile, it's always complicated. So this is an example of the digital printed lines on the 5 harness filling phase set in polyester. So we look at the picture on the left. When we print on the warp direction, when the ink fall on the filling yarns, the ink tend to weaken on the filling direction. So because this type of structure, right, the filling will be flowed over up to 4 warp yarns. So that leads to really bad print quality in this case. And also the pre-treatment. So this is two SEM photographs of the pre-treatment. On the left is not treated, on the right is treated. So, so we can see when it's treated, the pre-treatment will fill the inter-fiber instead of inter-yarn. So it will have, for digital printing, it's mainly in the inter-fiber. So it will have a really big impact. So to achieve a better print quality on fabric by digital printing, it's necessary to pre-treat the surface of fabric. So when there's not any treatment, it tends to weak and bleed on the surface. But if there's like a treatment, it will stay on the top of it. And also the post-treatment. The post-treatment, there's two types, the wet post-treatment and the dry post-treatment, depending on different inks or substrate, like the acid and the reactive inks. And on the cotton, silk, wool, or synthetic, they require steaming, washing, drying after the print process. But for the pigment dispersed on the cotton, linen, polyester, viscose, or polycotton, it's only require a curing process before the fabric can be used. So it's an easier process. So with so many factors I just introduced, as we just mentioned before, and I think in the digital textile industry, it has a lack of the standardization. A lot of time, a lot of companies reach out to me and ask about how to evaluate their product. So for the color fastness, we have EDTC test method. So the physical testing, we can do that, but what about the print image quality on textiles? So right now, most of the testing is like subjective. It's based on the visual assessment, a judgment by human observers. Like we have 15 or to 20 observers and to rate the maybe 2 or 3 samples. And it's not that accurate, and maybe it can change by different gender or age or something. So right now, we require an objective test method to evaluate the print clarity. So my research was focused on the sharpness of printed textiles. So the sharpness is the clarity of a detail in the image. The amount of detail of an image system can produce. So look at these 3 Lincoln pictures. So the first one is quite clear. You can tell the fine lines of his wrinkles on his face. But the other, on the third one, is kind of like blurry, and you just cannot provide a lot of information from this picture. So if the designer do not have intention to print, to have this kind of design, usually we want to have some cleared printed textile when it's after all the process. So I used MTF, modulation transfer function, to evaluate this print clarity. So the modulation transfer function, so the first picture is illustrated radiographic sharpness. As a measurement of contrast reduction. So it's a sign pattern. And the right line is a luminance. It's also a modulation of the bar pattern with lens blur. So the blue line is the contrast of the sign pattern. So we can see as the pattern reduced its width, become finer, the contrast is smaller, is reduced. So this is a test pattern. I created it as a set of increasing size of bar with a increasing distance between lines. So we can use this contrast image C, the print clarity of gap bar gap set test pattern to compare different conditions. So for textile, we know it has different property in different direction, warp direction or weft direction. So I created in 2 directions, and the finest line is 0.002 inches wide, which is finer Then the finest yarn in this research, so it's really fine. And so the process is we use MSJP7 Evo digital printer equipped with the piezo print head with 600 by 600 DPI, and at least 5 repeat for each sample. And after that, after printing, the heat set is 320 to 340 Fahrenheit, and with 25 seconds. After all the process done, we scan these samples with Epson scanner, and the brightness and the contrast is controlled, and we save it in 1200 DPI TIFF files. So software was used, Image Pro and MATLAB. So this is how it looks like after the print and the scan in the different direction. So sort of visual assessment, we can tell from that line is clear. And we choose the area from the TIFF file and change it to grain-scale single channels, and then convert it to Excel or text format in the Image Pro. So in this process, each pixel will convert into a number as a luminance of the color from 0 to 255. Then we use the MATLAB to average each line and get this graph. So we can see I minima and I lambda is the intensity of the corresponding bar width in the gap-bar gap test pattern, and lambda is the wavelength. So we can see this equation. Image contrast we can use, we can calculate it by this equation. I max lambda minus I min lambda divided by I max minus I min. So as image contrast increase, the sharpness increase. So we adapt the equation into this figure. So x-axis is the lambda, the wavelength, and the y-axis is the contrast. So we can see this is different colors, CMYK, RB. So you can see it's quite different in this situation. And based on our research, when the contrast, image contrast reach to 0.74, we consider it's pretty clear. So we join a line here at the 0.74, and we document all the number when the line reached 0.74 is the bar width. So as bar width increase, like this blue compared to the magenta, so the magenta have much better print clarity performance. The blue has like much worse. So the blue one has the biggest bar width, and the magenta has the lowest. So as the bar width increase, the sharpness, which is the print clarity, decrease. So this is basically how we can evaluate this print clarity. It's easier than visual assessment, and it's more accurate. You can just compare the different number directly on different situations. So in this case, you can compare like different situations. For example, the different setting of the printer or different substrate for this. And it's easier and it's more objective. So after this, the visual assessment is over there, right? But the quantitative test method is over here. It's much more accurate and more efficient. So I will just share like a couple results. So this is comparison with the motion of print head. So when we change the, like the first one, the test pattern bar print in the same direction as the print head motion. The second one is perpendicular to the print head motion. So we can see when we change the print head motion to the print pattern, the print clarity changes dramatically. And also we can compare different inks as well. So this is a set of ink. You can see it's quite similar, but it still have a slightly difference in print clarity. So that's all. And questions?
Can I give you that?
Cotton, linen, polyester, viscose, cotton, polyester only require a heat fixation process before the fabric pack can be used. This is what I not understand. Cotton, I not normally have to make fixation before I can use it. I have to make resizing.
You mean washing?
No, the dry post treatment.
Oh, yeah, this is a post-treatment. It's dry post-treatment. You need a curing, like a temperature and a certain.
Normally by cotton, no.
Cotton.
No. Polyester, yes. Viscose, that is a disaster. When I make a dry post treatment with them and the same.
So it's like you print it.
Polyester, polyamide, synthetic fiber, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But linen and viscose, you get a harsh hand. Customer cannot accept it, and we have also the absorbency of the drops. We do not.
So do you mean there's no post-treatment required for these No.
I think the suggestion is that the wet post-treatment is normally used for those.
The thing is,
fabric.
Cotton and viscose, you need not a dry post-treatment. It means you have to make it dry after washing or whatever. Polyester, normally before you use, you have to fix it over polyamide. But this depends on the printing and other fabrics what you make from the treatment. But especially viscose, very sensitive to the
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yeah, and for cotton, if the temperature is too high, it will become yellowish. So I think it's really important. Depends on different ink, different substrate, but the temperature definitely not the same. Yeah. With pigment and disperse. Depends on the. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I guess maybe what would your recommendation be?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the heat fixation only referred to just pigment inks, and then
Yeah.
yeah. Is that right?
Okay. Yeah. I just more based on the inks and the right. I can change the order to make it.
Well, I'm glad it's clear now. Are there any other questions? There's just one there. My team seem to have gone. Maybe they're already at the bar for drinks.
In your graph, you show that 0.74 as a horizontal line. Could you expand a little bit about how you chose that value?
It's Raleigh criteria. So this research already been published. So for the detail, I can provide the paper as well. So as a brief introduction. So I didn't add. Yeah, it's a pigment. Oh, a Lincoln? The picture actually is just a picture. It's not a print. It's just a demonstration of sharpness. Oh, so the 0.74 is from Raleigh criteria. So based on that equation, we consider point. So as when they reach 26%, it is so in this situation is 0.74. We consider it's clear. So it's I can show you privately because I didn't prepare that much. It's in my paper.
Okay, thanks.
And there's a question over there. Danny, can you run? Sorry.
So you showed a graph of print direction, right? So if you print with the print head direction or perpendicular to the print head direction, why do you see such a difference? Is it a magnifying an overspray issue in a certain direction, or jet straightness, or is it an effect of turbulence? Can you expand?
Well, I think it's because the motion of the print head is like this, right? And for my test pattern, it's kind of limited. It's only have two direction. In this case, it's only warp direction and weft direction. So when the motion of the print head is the same as the print test pattern, it's a bar test pattern, right? Bar gap bar. So it's easier if there's like a wicking or something because the print head is moving really fast, and the ink droplet might be wicking in that direction. But if the wick, it's kind of similar to my example as here. So yeah, it's kind of similar to this. So the print head is like on the same direction as the test pattern. It's a bar gap bar test pattern. So when it's like wicking in the same direction, you cannot tell the wicking from that. So it's have better print clarity. So I think it's just a direction.
Are there any other questions? Yep. The microphone seems to have disappeared. I'm sorry. It was actually running out of the door then, which was interesting. Honestly, you can't get the stuff.
In your plot where you showed some inks behave significantly differently, were you able to correlate that with ink properties like surface tension or content of the ink? Did you see some direct? Do you have a direct hypothesis for why different inks behave so differently?
For my research, I only studied the disperse and pigment ink. So I think I didn't find a lot of difference for the print clarity, but for other property like the color fastness, to light, to crop, it has like dramatic different performance. But we can still use this test method to compare different ink. So it's like more objective, and you can just compare the number. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Stella? Yep. Alex? Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. When you turn the 90 degree, you can get same result? I mean I mean the crop. So a printhead cannot turn around.
You mean in warp and weft direction?
Yeah, right. So I'm not so sure. So it depends on the ink or crop.
You're asking me whether the result is because of the print head motion or the warp and weft.
That's right.
Sorry, I haven't mentioned that to control the factors, I changed the direction of warp and weft. So if it's like, it has to be same as the warp direction. So in these two cases, So the only difference, the only changing factors is the motion of the print head. We are not considered about the warp or weft direction in this case.
Okay.
Yeah, I changed the direction.
Thank you. Any more? Nope. Thank you very much as well. It was really interesting. Give her a round of applause. Thank you.